Welcome in to Hatfield Ice Arena. Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots here in this class of ECHA rivals. My name's Tom Hill.
I'm Jason Joseph.
And we have a lot of action in store for us here soon.
Yes.
Game time starting, puck drop in about 5 minutes. And, you know, the Villanova Wildcats have been really hot this year, Jason. And you got to figure here at home, their first home game, they come in with the 3-0 record. You got to hope that it continues here against a conference rival.
You know, Tom, the one thing that I love is that this team has just been shooting the puck really well. 142 shots on goal in just their first 3 games of this season. Balzarati's been doing a really good job. And, of course, Kapranov, you know, in the net has been doing a really good job, too, on the defensive side. So this team definitely has a lot of versatility, but they also have a lot of athleticism, too.
Yeah, that's something that I would agree on, too. And touching on Dmitry Kapranov, the goaltender for the Wildcats has been fantastic. You know, so far through his first 2 games in the net, he's only given up 1 goal. And you combine that with the offense of Villanova, Jason, and this can be a very potent team, and that's something that we have seen take shape so far throughout the course of these first 3 games. And you got to figure now, first game here at home, here in Villanova, and you got to figure if they can just play their game and play to their strengths, and boy, they do have a lot of strengths, you got to feel very comfortable coming out of here with a victory.
Absolutely. I think that what they do is such a good job. Reagan in the last game ended up getting the first goal for them really early on. It was about like 5 minutes into it, and I think that if they can just score early on, I think that that'll definitely set them up for a success.
And some other players to look out for in Naraki and Charlie Davis. So, you know, when you see this Villanova team, and we have listed off about 5 or 6 different names here, it just feels like they can be on the attack and put the opposition in a tough position to try to come from behind. And, you know, obviously in the game of hockey, it's not like basketball where it's a game of runs. Right. You know, it's a game of getting out into an early lead and then controlling the pace and controlling the tempo of the game. And when you have a team like this Wildcat team that's very potent both offensively and defensively, and obviously the goaltender in Kapranov, it can be very tough to stop them. And they have really looked the part here this early bit of 24-25 season.
Absolutely, and the one other thing I really like about this Villanova team is that they share the puck really well. Lynch and so many other guys have just gotten so many assists, and it's like, you know, you just see points like every single night, and with what they can do with the puck, you know, they play cohesive hockey, which is really, really big.
Yeah, that is big time, and you know, it allows for every guy to kind of get going, and we even saw that in their last game. They played 2 against Rochester Institute of Technology, and 6 goals as a team, and 6 different players had a goal, so that could be big here tonight. But Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots here at Hatfield Ice Arena here in Colmar, Pennsylvania.
They can still hear you. And your camera's live, just be careful.
And now, the starting lineup for your Villanova Wildcats. On defense, number 2, Leo Thompson. On defense, number 29, Dave Reagan. At left wing, number 20, Walter Oostreicher. At center, number 6, Matt Vlllanova. And at right wing, number 30, Timmy Kamelski. And in goal, number 30, Dimitri Kaplanov. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and lift your caps.
Puck drop is off, and we are underway here at Hatfield Ice Arena. Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots. Villanova comes in with a record of 3-0. George Mason 0-2. It's immediate action from the Patriots in their attacking zone, but it's cleared out now here by the Wildcats. They have been on a scorcher here to start this 24-25 season. 16 goals scored, only 3 allowed. Now looking to attack on their own side. It'll be cleared out by the Patriots, who come in with a record of 0-2. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. First home game of the year for the Wildcats, an immediate stoppage. Just 38 seconds into play, and Jason, immediate, fast-paced action here in this game, and you got to figure we're going to see a lot of that here tonight from the Wildcats and both George Mason Patriots.
Absolutely. This Patriots team has been outscored 11-2 in their first 2 games so far, but this Villanova Wildcats team has done a really, really good job on offense.
And some players to look out for. Charlie Davis leads the Wildcats in goals with 3. And Jonathan Naraki leads the team in points with 5. As it's out onto the side, attacking side for George Mason, but cleared out physical play far side by the Wildcats, looking to set something up here. Tyler Cooper, the defenseman near side. And it's intercepted, a beautiful interception there by Igornov for George Mason. Just tried to send it to the cutter to try to get a first-time goal on the board, and it was almost put in by Villanova, but not quite. Patriots looking to clear everything out here, and they do. Get it out onto the other side, and that'll be an icing call immediately a minute and a half here into this game. And, you know, we've seen it, Jason, both teams where, you know, Villanova had a run there to try to maybe get a goal there. It looked to be that the cutter just got cut off by the Patriot player. But then before, in the first minute of the game, we saw the Patriots attack. So we'll see who strikes first here in the very early going. Davian Peretti will try to win the faceoff for the Wildcats, and he did for a second, but it's cleared out onto the far side. Bodies flying, puck loose. There's a stoppage here far side.
That's how Brendan Sargent was able to get in on the action. You know, the junior from Manhasset, New York. He's been really, really good for this Wildcats team.
Timothy Kabelski will check in on the next line change, and yeah, this Villanova team 3-0 record, and you know this is something 6 points tied with 10 in the ECHA conference. And they've had 144 shots on goal, and Jason, that's something that we've mentioned as to why they've had this strong start. They're going to win another face-off here, just to try to get something going and try to get something on the board. Balzerati loses it, but it is cleared out here at the top of the line by Tom Sack. But the Patriots will take over, looking to stay aggressive, but the puck goes loose, and Aaron here near side, down near Kapranov. We haven't seen Villanova really get into an attack just yet. We've seen it a couple of times in the early going, but nothing has really truly developed. It's been back and forth, puck loose, going on to the other side. I don't think they give the icing, they don't. So the Wildcats will look to try to attack up here on the other side from them. Penalty kill is in action, a minute 20. Villanova looking to try to set something up. They've been aggressive here in the early going, 16 goals already as a team through the first 3 games. Defeated William Patterson in the opener, and then defeated Rochester Institute of Technology 2 straight games. They almost put one up and in there, but it was stopped.
Looked like it was a nice play set up by Tom Chaff, but they just could not execute there. But you expect that they're just going to continue to be hungry down on the offensive side as the game continues.
And you got to figure that that is their game, Jason. That's something that we have seen here in the early going. We've seen them play with pace, and we've seen them play aggressively. Davis tries here near side, down near the goaltender Lucas Huberger, who's getting his second start of the year. A nice block there by Matthew Price. He's one of their big-time players, and now it's cleared out onto the far side, and Kapranov will set things up for Michael Vogel, the defenseman. Wildcats looking to strike here early going, 16:38 mark. Skated out and cleared out by Naraki. 2 goals and 3 assists. He leads the team with 5 points. No team has really found their footing yet in this game, as the penalty kill will end here, so both teams will play even. Wildcats looking to strike far side. Fidecaro tries to win it, and doesn't. Puck loose, but it's handled by Vogel, who clears it out. A smart clear out on the far side by Drew Sakonis for George Mason. The Patriots will take it up the other way. They had a 2-on-1 brewing for a second, and he just kind of flips it up and it's stopped. So time stoppage at the 15:59 mark, Jason. No score yet in this first period, but we've seen both teams, they're aggressive. They're trying to whittle down the opposing defense, and we'll see which team that bodes better for here in this game.
I liked how Michael Vogel was able to just get back there on defense, and I thought that he did a really good job at just staying on his man, and I think that he could do that throughout pretty much an entire game. And if he's just able to be physical on the defensive side, look out.
And it also comes as a plus when you have such a great goaltender as the Wildcats do.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's something Kapranov has been money so far this season, 47 for 48. He's only allowed 1 goal in 2 games. Stoppage here at the 15:46 mark. You're just tuned in. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots. Wildcats looking to extend their undefeated 3-0 record, looking to go 4-0 here in the 24-25 season. Another face-off here far side. It's dug out ready, but he didn't win it, but now the Wildcats will take over. Full head of steam far side, but he lost the handle just a bit. Going to clear it out here onto the near side. Wildcats looking to just put something on the board and take the early lead. Grayson Esposito slammed into the glass there on that far side. And it's been a lot of this so far here in the first period where the Wildcats have attacked, but they haven't really, taken advantage of the attacking so far. And George Mason's doing a good job at least just clearing it out. But they haven't really been on the attack the way the Wildcats have been, and we've seen some line changes here. Now far side, it was full head of steam, but losing the handle near side, Villanova. Esposito had it for a minute, then lost it. He had a goal against William Patterson and 2 assists in that game. Now here, far side, Dylan Shun, the defenseman, takes it up and gets upended. Bodies flying here on that far side, puck loose. Villanova has possession, looking to just kind of pluck it out. And they do. And get it there on the near side. See both teams aggressive here. I feel like a broken record here saying that, Jason.
Well, both teams do have one shot on goal so far, but I think that so far in this first period, both teams have done a really good job just on the defensive side.
Yeah, and that's going to be big time as it bodes into the further portion of this game. As the puck is handled by Huberger. Huberger 41 of 47 in the first game, a 6-2 loss against Oswego State. Both losses to Oswego State this year from George Mason.
And the key for this Wildcats team is you've got to quiet Matthew Price. This is a guy who led the team in goals last year, and he's really good at scoring.
Far side attack from the forward, Nick Ransom, but it was upended by the Wildcats. And yeah, Jason, to your point, he's going to be someone that they have to be cognizant of. He had a power play goal when these two teams met last year on November 11th, a game that George Mason won 3-0. So Villanova looking for a 180 of that. Clock stops here at the 13:32 mark. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. 6.5 minutes gone here in this first period. We have seen George Mason and Villanova both duke it out here. Nobody has really taking the lid off the basket. I'm stealing a phrase from another sport here, but you got to figure with both teams attacking, especially with the Wildcats, it can happen sooner than later, especially with the way they have successfully scored here in this season. Kapranov will handle that one pretty swimmingly. We have seen George Mason, they've attacked, they've really, been very good on the defensive side too, Jason, where it feels like the Wildcats do attack maybe on fast breaks, but then George Mason's able to get back, whether it is a line change or not. They're able to get back and really try to thwart anything that the Wildcats can get going from a momentum standpoint. But now the Wildcats looking to do that right here, getting it up onto the far side. Timothy Kabelski was a starter in this game, but now it's just cleared out as nothing brewed up near mid-ice. Villanova moving right to left on the timeline. George Mason moving left to right. Handled by the defenseman. This could set up something else here for Villanova here near side. But again, great defense for the Patriots. Just trying to clear out the puck and not let anything brew here for the Wildcats. 12:45 mark here in this first period. Tom Lynch, the defenseman, unable to handle it, which could set up something for George Mason in terms of attacking. Almost dug out by Price, player to watch for on that far side, but now they get it into the stick of Ransom. One up on that near side, but couldn't get anything to go, so the Wildcats will take over. With the line change, they could have been aggressive, but good job there by Alexei Karpov, just putting his stick in and trying to alter that, and he did. Now a fight here far side. But it's won by the Patriots, looking to attack, setting something up. That shot is up, it's deflected, and now being jammed into the glass far side. So we'll see if this allows the momentum to swing into the Wildcats side. 8 minutes gone here in this first period, no score. Both these teams ECHA rivals. Villanova 3-0, George Mason 0-2.
Gotta tell you, Luke Carpy's doing a really good job of just getting involved and just being a pest. You know, that's what makes him such a unique talent, is that he can just get into people's faces and also just fight for the loose puck. And just like that, I mean, he just did that right there.
Yeah, and we have seen also both teams have played clean. It was just one power play for the Wildcats. They weren't able to take advantage of that in the early going, but other than that, it has been pretty clean. Shot is up, no good from Peretti. He almost put it in, but a good save by Huberger, who aforementioned Lucas Huberger, 41 of 47 in that 6-2 loss on September 13th against Oswego State. And Jonathan Peretti got the start in the net in their most recent loss, but they're looking for some continuity at the goaltending position, so Huberger gets the start here tonight. And slamming into the glass, our bodies there far side. A scrum with 2 green jerseys and a Wildcat. The Wildcats do take over and looking to try to attack here. It's sent out by Giannetti, who looks to send an attack up and almost putting it in. On that near side was a Wildcat player who had a bit of an angle, but just a bit off there. There were a few green jerseys colliding, so
This is how you respond, though. You know, you weren't able to get a lot of shots on goal, you know, to start off the game, but now they look like that they're just attacking the puck really well, and they're making plays.
2 shots on goal for Villanova, 2 shots on goal for George Mason. 11-13 mark here in this first period. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Shot is up, it's altered. We've seen this a lot where Villanova gets into the attacking zone but unable to put anything across. Now they're far side, fight for it. It's won out by a second by the Wildcats, but now George Mason able to take over and maybe try to set up a slap shot. We haven't really seen them put shots on goal against Kapranov, and now we have a scrum.
Yeah, that was
right in
Liam
front of the
Tomchak.
goaltender.
Yeah, Liam Tomchak there trying to just make a statement and just say, nah, man, like you can't go up against my goalie like that.
Yeah, and you know, you need to do that, especially, you know, when it can get physical and it can get tough in this game. And you know, the other player to watch for is number 45, Michael Miranda. You know, he's a player that, you know, 2 goals, the only 2 goals this year for the Patriots. So we'll see when he gets involved if the Wildcats could neutralize him or potentially stop him in this game.
Miranda and Price, you got to look out for the both of them.
Cleared out by George Goodwin. He lost it for a second, but now they'll get it back into the stick of Sakonis. Just trying to maybe slow the pace down here in this penalty kill. It's Tomchak just a bit too aggressive, so that could hurt the Wildcats here. As they're down a man for 2 minutes, now a minute 34. So you have to try to at least salvage this or maybe even try to get out onto an attack. Trying to set up a cutter, but maybe a slap shot, but nothing developed. Now back was Sakonis, and it's cleared out. Good deflection there by Balzarati. Now here, far side, Sakonis does try to set something up for Goodwin as they try to put something up on the board and cannot. Now 4 shots on goal for the Patriots, and Kapranov able to get the glove on it and save it. So we have seen an aggressive Patriots team. It's been kind of uncharacteristic of their start, Jason, this season, but you really got to like that on their end, especially with the way Villanova has played this season and the success that they've had. You know, if you're George Mason, you got to come out aggressive, and they have, even though they haven't put anything on the board. You know, a minute 5 here on this power play, you know, they could get something brewing.
Oh, absolutely. And when you have guys like Quinn Alley and Will McGrath and Michael Miranda, who has led the team with 2 goals this year, they can definitely score.
You see now fight far side as there's one Wildcat player looking to try to send it out. He did for a second, but the Patriots were able to corral it. Now the puck will go out here on the near side, right up the left sideline. 9:32 mark here in this first period. No score between the Wildcats and the Patriots. 37 seconds left here on this power play for the Patriots. So they haven't taken advantage of it, which is good for Villanova's sake, to at least just try to stay alive and not let it get too ugly here when you're down a man. And maybe we could set something up here. 1-on-1 brewing shot is up, no good. A great block by Huberger as Naraki tried to put it in but could not. And that's a player who leads the team with 5 points and 2 goals so far throughout the season. He had a goal in their last game against Rochester Institute. Check that, 2 goals in the first game against William Patterson. My mistake there, but the third shot on goal by the Wildcats here in this first period. Patriots looking to set something up, but they just kind of throw it down to Kapranov. Maybe trying to get an icing, but nothing there. Now here near side, Wildcats have really developed something on offense, at least getting it into the attacking zone, but not being able to put it past that red line. Both teams kind of struggling here. You got to figure the other shoe might drop. Just depends on which side that's going to fall on. Karpov had it for a second, but Villanova will now try to push it and stretch the ice down here, but a good pass here towards the far side. Look at trying to maybe hook something around, and a great physical play by the Wildcats, just not letting anything brew.
They look like they're really in sync on the defensive side. And, you know, guys like Sargent and even Thomas and Reagan and Tomchak have just been able to stay on their man and also do a good job at just defending the zone.
Yeah, and also the physical play too, Jason, has been big time.
Yes.
You know, even if you do get into a power play or penalty kill on their side, rather, you know, that aggressive play which we've seen so far here in this first period is going to bode well for them as this game progresses and as the season progresses as well. Fight for it here, right near the back glass, as Davian Peretti looked to try to win it for the Wildcats, but he could not. So the Patriots will take it up on the other way. And a nice physical play there, right on cue, right there, that far side in the glass. We've seen that a lot with this checking from this Wildcat team, but it could set something up here near side as Marcico almost put it in, but two white jerseys there to try to intercept any possibility of that, and Kapranov will save this one here. His fifth save here in this first period. 6:58 mark, no score yet. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. And Jason, what have you seen?
Well, I gotta tell you, on that last play, Paul Giannetti has been really, really active, and he's been one of those feisty guys out there that's just been really doing a good job at just controlling the tempo and getting back on defense as well. But this offense really has to wake up.
And we have seen them, they get into these situations where they get on to the left side of the ice and try to put something on the board, but just unable to really get something going. That's a testament to the Patriots defensively. Something could brew here. The cutter puts it up and can't put it in. Well, they had something going with Goodwin, but a nice stop there from Kapranov as well. So 6 shots on goals for George Mason, but they haven't put one in the net here. Well, we've seen a few scares.
This is what happens, though, when you have a guy that's 47 for 48 in save opportunities.
Yeah, he has just been absolutely immaculate. He was great last year for this Wildcat team as well. 93.2 save percentage and a 10-7-1 goaltender record. 6:05 mark here in this first period. No score between these two teams. Both ECHA rivals as the clock will stop at the 6:02 mark. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots here at Hatfield Ice Arena here in Colmar, Pennsylvania. And Jason, we've been treated to a back and forth first period to say the least, but it's going to be interesting to see which team will strike first.
Both teams have really been riding the seesaw just in regards to just taking it over past the neutral zone. And you would have to think that this Villanova offense is going to wake up pretty soon.
Yeah, you got to figure it's a matter of when, not if, with the Wildcats, especially with how successful they've been scoring the puck this season. Davis has been a bit quiet here in this first period. He tries to win it far side, but slammed into the glass. Now Mason will look to set things up, but it's handled nicely far side by the Wildcats, who are being outshot 6-3. And something we've mentioned on this broadcast, 144 shots on goal through the first 3 games for Villanova.
And 52 shots on goal in their last game.
So that, you know, very big time numbers is on the ground and trying to put it in was Michael Miranda, but he could not. Boy, that would have been tough.
Yeah.
So now they'll take it up the other way. Peretti, he's been aggressive here in this first period and gets slammed, almost slammed into the glass by Chun. But unable to do so, sets up a shot, it's up, and it is good! Grayson Esposito puts it in. 1-0 Wildcats.
I loved the shot there, but also just the way that they were able to attack out in transition with a little breakaway. When he gets a little bit of daylight, it's probably going to go.
Yeah, we were just waiting for that, Jason, in this game, and eventually we saw it with this Wildcat team, who's now up to 17 goals on the season. And they have just been a very aggressive team. Esposito bidding for his second, potentially, to try to scratch and claw and get that lead up even more. Clock stoppage here at the 4:50 mark. I believe we're going to get a call here near sideline. Down on the attacking zone for the Wildcats.
But see, that's what, Tom, like, that's what makes this team so special, is that there's not just one guy. Like, yeah, Jonathan Naroki has done a really good job at just getting points for them and has led the team in points. But there's always somebody that just steps up, and that's what I mean by them playing very good cohesive hockey, because they're dishing out the biscuit and they're doing a really good job at just getting everybody involved. It doesn't matter which line's out there.
Yeah, and that could just make it a very complete effort, and it just makes it easier to play hockey. It makes it easier for you to get into your sets, and now another thing brewing after that most recent penalty, a 2-minute power play for the Villanova Wildcats. So now George Mason down a skater, and the Wildcats could really take advantage of this here in the early going. Going to send something up here near side, but they're just going to try to maybe slow the pace and clear it out. 4:35 mark. Esposito had a goal against Lincoln Patterson. He has a goal here tonight. And it's fought up, almost scoring it again were the Wildcats, but a good deflection by Huberger. Might have hit a stick before it hit him.
I think it did.
Wildcats set up a slap shot far side. Can't get it to go as Tomczak. And clock will stop here at the 4:19 mark. Now we're starting to see, down a player George Mason is. This is where Villanova can really get going. And we have seen that here over the course of the past minute, really since the Esposito goal. It has been a conscientious effort to, drive and attack. And usually here in hockey, to my point on the pregame that we did, that this isn't a game of runs. This is a game of momentum early, and then you can really just kind of, keep your foot on the gas, but it's not as imminent if you have that big time lead. So already up 1-0 are the Wildcats here at the 4:10 mark in this first period. Looking to make it more. That shot is up no good. Another block by Huberger. He's been mostly good here in this period in the goal for George Mason, but still 1:09 left on the penalty kill for George Mason. Under 4 to play here in this first period. 1-0 Villanova. Comes in with a record of 3-0, and they lead the ECHA in both record and points, tied with Temple with 6 points. So both those teams have been on the money. As Kapranov will send it on over, or just set something up rather, for Vogel to take it on down. Here comes Davis, full head of steam, right up middle ice. Shot is up, it's altered. Good alteration there by Quinn Alley. Just trying to clear it out and not let Villanova take advantage of this power play, which George Mason has done a more than admirable job so far here. Just 28 seconds left, and now they might have something brewing. 2-on-1. One man back for Villanova. Shot is up. It's blocked by Kapranov. Another one blocked by Kapranov as well. 2 in a row. George Mason now up to 8 shots on goals, but they have not been able to crack Dmitry Kapranov, and he has been absolutely impeccable, Jason.
I gotta tell you, Thomas Lynch on that play there, that could have been a costly turnover, but again, what I like is that this team just has layers, and even with Kapranov in goal, he's been doing a really good job, but thank goodness there was no turnover there by Lynch.
We have seen a few times here where George Mason has tried to set something up. They did it now here behind the net on that Wildcat side, but another time stoppage here at the 3:03 mark. So we'll see what the call is. 13 seconds left on the power play. So the Wildcats tried to take advantage of that. We saw right after the Grayson Esposito goal, his second of the year, tried to take advantage of that, but just unable to do so.
I have to tell you, I think that Coach Bobko definitely has a lot to be proud of with his team so far. Not just from the scoring aspect, but just the way that his players are just so together and how they played on the rink.
Now the power play over, so George Mason was able to weather the storm there. And maybe just salvage it and try to set something up here at the 2:40 mark in this first period. Line changes for both teams as the puck goes wide and goes onto that far side. So an icing violation is called. So another time stoppage here at the 2:34 mark. If you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova Wildcats with a 1-0 lead over the George Mason Patriots.
You know, they have 8 shots on goal so far, or 6 shots on goal so far. Would like to see them try to attack a little bit more past the blue line and maybe try to set something up in the lane. They have tried that a couple of times, but it just hasn't worked out to their advantage. But hopefully they can just try to execute and make some really good plays.
Now 2.5 minutes left here in this first period. It's been a period of back and forth in terms of both teams attacking, but only one team, the Wildcats, has put a goal up on the board. As a clear out here by Hinkson, just trying to maybe set something up for Mason, or at least try to not let Villanova maybe get a full head of steam, but they're looking to develop here far side. It was just a clear out on that far side by Villanova.
And Balzarati.
We have seen they've been attacking a lot, and you got to give a credit to this George Mason defense. They have been stout, and also Lucas Huberger outside of the Esposito goal. He has been very good so far here in this first period. 1 for 6, or 5 for 6 rather, in terms of saves. Puck loose now, handled by the Wildcats, and a slam into the ice. Boy, we heard that one pretty loud. Minute 35 to play here in this first period. 1-0 Wildcats. George Mason looking to maybe set something up. The Wildcats have been both stout offensively and on the defensive side. As Travis Plyler was unable to handle that pass. It was a missile, but behind him. And now here comes George Mason looking to attack here. Far side sidestep by Karpov. He lost the handle. To be a basketball move, but just couldn't finish it.
Trying to break somebody's ankles.
Yeah. It's easier to do on the hardwood than the ice, but got to give him credit for trying. Now, under a minute to play here in this period. 1-0 Wildcats. The difference, a Grayson Esposito goal. At the 4-minute mark, 5-minute mark here in this period. Let's see if Mason tries to set something up. Passes Aaron far side. And now here comes Villanova the other way. Peretti tried to maybe poke it away from the Mason player, but could not. So now 38 seconds to play here. 8 shots on goal for George Mason against Kapranov. He has not given up a goal yet here in this game. And only 1 so far this year, so you got to figure those are few and far between. Esposito trying to attack, but they have 3 green jerseys back. 20 seconds left here in this first period. 1-0 Wildcats, but a chance to tack on more. Puck popped up into the air and handled by a second by the Villanova defenseman. And now with under 10 to play, maybe they can set something up. Puck goes Aaron here far side. Davis looks to poke it out, and with 2 seconds left, that will conclude matters here in period number 1. The Villanova Wildcats with a 1-0 lead over the George Mason Patriots. The difference in this game, a Grayson Esposito goal. And Jason, we have seen this Villanova team. They have put 1 goal on the board. They've had 6 shots on goal. And for the George Mason side, they have 0 goals, but 8 shots. So we have seen both teams, be kind of aggressive so far in this first period, but not quite as aggressive as they would like, as neither team was double digits in shots on goals. But hey, if you're Villanova, you have the 1-0 advantage here, and you got to be pretty happy about what you've seen, both offensively, defensively, but of course, obviously, with the goaltender in Kapranov.
I'd like to give Paul Giannetti and even Davion Peretti a lot of credit too, because they've done a very good job at protecting Kapranov and have really done a good job at just getting back to the blue line and being really physical with this George Mason offense too. Look, they've kept Matthew Price really quiet so far. Michael Miranda, we've talked about him and how he's scored 2 goals on the season so far. They kept him really quiet as well. Going into the second period, that has to still be a part of the game plan.
Yeah, it does, and that's something that you have to be cognizant of, because Price is a player, 15 goals. It led the team a season ago, and he has been quiet, and really every George Mason Patriot player has been quiet so far here in this game, and they've had a few chances to try to scratch and claw and maybe get one on the board against Kapranov, but he's just a very well-positioned goaltender, and that just allows for this Villanova team to really attack on the offensive side, because then they realize, hey, they know that back there they have that guy in the net, so they know he's not going to relinquish a lot, and you could really just stay on the attacking side. We saw they tried to take advantage of that power play, but they were unable to do so. George Mason had a power play as well on their own end because of Liam Tomczak, his physical play, and we will see how that's going to progress and how that will sustain as this game moves along, but so far right now, you have to be pretty excited about what you've seen from this Villanova Wildcats.
It is just so cool to see Capron up close and just see what he can do as a netminder. He's so athletic. He has a lot of skills, but he's also really good at just reading where the puck is going to go. And that IQ, I think, is really going to help Villanova, not just throughout the rest of this game, but throughout the rest of the season too. He's special.
Yeah, he has been special, and he was special even a season ago. And you got to figure that that's going to sustain. And kind of like the old adage in baseball, it's like if you can get great pitching, you can have at least a serious shot at winning games. And if you get great goaltending, you're going to have a very serious shot at winning games. And
defense wins championships.
Yeah, we said it together, and that's been the name of the game here tonight. That's been the name of the game here throughout the entirety of this season. This brief start to the season, just 3 complete games in for Villanova, and they've been aggressive scoring. We have seen them score a lot more in previous games than in this one, but you got to figure 1-0 lead here as we take shape, just about ready to go here in this second period. About 12 minutes away.
Anthony's batteries are perfect. Okay, he's up.
And yeah, so Grayson Esposito with the difference here in this game. His goal, 1-0 Villanova here with about 11:40 to go before we resume play here in this second period. Tom Hill here with Jason Joseph on the call, and this has been a game that when you get games that are kind of quiet and kind of low scoring, at least to start it out, you got to figure that the scoring, especially from this Villanova team, will eventually come, and it'll eventually come maybe even in flurries, and that's something that we've seen a lot throughout the course of the first 3 games of this season. But if you're the Wildcats, you have to be pretty happy about this start here, and Esposito with his second goal here this season.
Yeah, I think that the offense is going to wake up a little bit more in that second period. It'd be really nice to see Naraki try to go off a little bit. Moscoso also do a really good job out there as well, but they're doing just enough. They came in, they set the tone defensively, and when you're going up against this George Mason team who can score, they haven't really done so like in their first couple of games, but that they can absolutely score, and I think that they're doing a really good job of just quieting them, and also just the security blanket of Kaepernick. It's just so good to have.
It's just a luxury. It's a luxury, and it's just such a resource that they can use, because something that we did mention a few minutes ago, where it feels like you can stay on the attack when you have a goaltender like Kapranov, because it feels like, hey, we know that that's a player that's not going to really relinquish a lot and not going to give up a lot of goals, and he's only given up 1 goal this season so far throughout his first 2 games in net. And we will see if they are more aggressive here, with the puck and on the offensive side, to try to get deep into the George Mason zone and try to get deep to score, and maybe not even score, but will them down and make this a game of attrition, if you will, and make this a game where Villanova has the leg up in terms of the intensity. And maybe that could be something that the Wildcats could use to push them over the edge in this game. But yes, to your point, Jason, that this is a George Mason team that we haven't quite seen it. They're 0-2, 0 points here in the ECHA, but this is a potent team that you got to figure, certain teams start slow, and we have seen a slow start here from this Patriot team, but you got to figure they have the players in Miranda and Price to get it going. And this is a team that was in the ECHA playoffs a year ago as well, just like the Wildcats. So you got to figure, hey, they're just down 1-0, and they're actually out shooting Villanova 8-6 here after 1 period. They can use that momentum forward to try to tie this game and eventually take the lead and maybe shift momentum and put it on their side.
Yeah, and also Quinn Alley, another guy that has been a little bit quiet today, but throughout these first couple of games, he's definitely made some noise, and he's gotten a couple of assists out there as well, and has done a really good job on the blue line. I think that they're doing a good job keeping him quiet as well. And as this game progresses, you're going to need that. You're going to really need this Villanova team to just continue to do a really good job at shutting down the defense and then just breaking through.
Yeah, and we will see if that progresses here in this second period, or we'll see if the Villanova Wildcats are able to pick up their first win here at Hatfield Ice Arena. And along with Jason Joseph, I am Tom Hill, and 1-0 Wildcats here in after one. And you got to figure Grayson Esposito, his second goal of the year. They've had a lot of different playmakers score goals throughout the first 3 complete games of this season, and you got to figure that you're hoping that maybe rings true here tonight. And 1-0 lead, you can't really go wrong with that. And along with Jason Joseph, I'm Tom Hill. 1-0 Villanova. We'll be right back with second period action after this.
Let's go. Let's go.
Back to the action, second period just about underway to get going. 1-0 Wildcats here against the George Mason Patriots. If you're just tuned in, alongside my broadcast partner Jason Joseph, I am Tom Hill. And Jason, that 1-0 lead for Villanova, the only goal of the game, Grayson Esposito put one in, the freshman out of Marlton, previously played for St. Augustine Prep, and he is the difference. This game, 6 shots on goal for the Wildcats in that first period compared to 8 for George Mason. So they're being outshot, but they're outscoring their opposition, and we'll see how that bodes here as we take shape in this second period.
I think what makes this team so interesting, and you can kind of tell, like in this game, they don't really have too many seniors, but they have a lot of underclassmen, and I think that that's what's going to set them up for, not just this year for being really good, but for years and years to come too. And when you talk about a guy like Grayson Esposito, having him get his first goal, that's gotta feel so gratifying.
Yeah, and his second goal of the year, he had one against William Patterson. He also has 2 assists on this season, and second period is now underway. Villanova now moving left to right on the timeline. George Mason moving right to left. Price, who was quiet in that first period, looks to set something up, but fielded nicely by a Villanova defenseman, something we've said a lot in that first period, and that's really been the key so far as to why they've been the more aggressive team, not necessarily shooting, but they've at least been aggressive defensively. Now here near side, trying to set something up, Kabelski, but he was unable to.
A little tic-tac-toe pass out there. I really liked that. Started off by a Tom Sack. He was out there on the far corner. Thought he did a really good job of just finding a couple of teammates. And again, they were going on the attack. They didn't get the result that they wanted, but that's how you set the tone.
43 shots on goal for Villanova in their first game, 49 in their second game, and 52 in their third game. 16 goals, so a bit different affair here tonight, but they still have a lead. There might have been a violation not called here on that far side up by mid-ice. George Goodwin wanted one, not able to get it. Now clock stoppage at the 19:09 mark. Only 51 seconds gone here in this second period, and it has been a repeat period of the first where we see a lot of attacking and driving, and the offense has set something up enough to where they can drive down the ice to try to put one on the board, but not to the level to where we've seen a whole lot of goals in this game. Face off near side, but it's handled now by George Mason, who takes it up the near sideline, and puck goes the other way. We'll see if Villanova could set something up. Going onto that right side was Fidecaro. He tries to set somebody up for something as he got slammed into the ice.
Looks like it was Davis.
Now here we go, something brewing. Kapranov will send it on over, and we'll see if the Wildcats can get something up here far side. Fidecaro has been busy so far here in this period, but again, nothing brewing, something a lot. We saw a lot, I should say, in that first period between these two squads.
This Wildcats team has a lot of dogs. Cooper being really aggressive over on the other side, trying to get really physical and do a really good job against George Mason.
An admirable job for George Mason defensively. Both Lucas Huberger and their defensemen as well, as they gave up 11 goals and 2 losses on the road against Oswego State. So a much different sequence of events here tonight. It's still a lot of time to be played in this game. A little over 2 minutes gone here in this second period. Slammed into the glass on that far side. And it kicks all the way onto the Villanova side as Kapranov will put his glove on it and stop the clock at the 17:47 mark, and that will in all likelihood necessitate some line changes. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. 1-0 Wildcats. The difference in this game, a Grayson Esposito goal, his second of the year. The freshman out of Marlton put one in.
Momentum definitely does seem to be going the Patriots' way, but the Wildcats just got to do a really good job at just defending.
Slap shot was altered, but now the puck will go into the other way. Something brewing here as Isaacs had something maybe to get going and almost put in by Karpov, but he was unable to do so. So now the puck on the back side. So a couple of opportunities there by the Patriots to maybe tie this score, but unable to do so with both Karpov as well as Jeremy Isaacs. And now the puck will head on to the other side, but fielded nicely by Lynch. And nice alteration there mid-ice by Davian Peretti, someone that, Jason, you highlighted in this game in that first period.
I thought that Esposito was going to get a little sneak away right there, but he just mistimed it.
Now we can see if something brews here. Alexei Karpov on the move. 2-on-1. He has a cutter. Shot is up. It's blocked. Another shot is up. And now a fight here behind the goaltender. A skirmish between about 4 different players on both sides.
And again, Dmitry Kapranov, just the hand-eye coordination, the shuffling of the skates, really, again, just putting himself in a good position to make a nice stop. And that was a good shot.
Yeah, and now up to 10 shots on goal are the Patriots, Jason, but they've been unable to put anything on the board because of Kapranov, and he has just been absolutely deadly. And, we'll see how this bodes here in this second period. Just a little over 3 minutes gone here. 1-0 Wildcats. We'll see if the Patriots are able to put something on the board. Maybe they can take advantage of this face-off here on their attacking side. The clock stopped at the 16:44 mark. And a 2-minute power play.
Let them to try to
for
get
both teams.
Let them to try to get a little bit more decisive on the offensive side and just try to get some breakaways. Haven't been able to do so here so far in the second period.
We'll see which team takes advantage here. Both teams playing 4-on-4. Shot is up. It's altered. It actually deflected off of Price. And now we'll go out onto the Villanova side. 2-on-2 brewing. Kabelski tried to corral it away from Balzarati. He did for a second, but fielded nicely by a Patriot defenseman, and they're just going to clear it up on the other side. So that skirmish results in both teams losing a guy. 1-0 Villanova, but a chance to stay aggressive here. Zigging and zagging Miranda, but he lost the handle for just a bit. Boy, that could have been something if he put one up there on the board. Trying to almost split the defenders, if you will. Mason looks to set something up. They had a cutter for a second, but pass errant. Now right behind the goaltender, Villanova looking to try to win this just to clear it out. It feels like the Patriots have been more on the attack here in this second period than the Wildcats, but as I say that, here comes Villanova. Up ahead looking to try to get on the attack. Finds a cutter, shot is up by Balzarati. He was unable to put it through, so the Patriots will take it up on their own side. But again, Villanova stout defensively, able to clear it on out. Patriots look to set something up. Puck Aaron. Now back at the top line. Puck loose. 37 seconds left on the power play. It's immediately right out of the line change. It's intercepted by Fidecaro, who had it for a second. Will clear it out now far side. But still setting up are the Patriots to try to get on the board down 1-0. Puck has been just all over the place here for the last couple of minutes, as the Patriots just haven't really been settled on trying to get on the board here. It's 4-on-4. They're still not an advantage. Maybe a slap shot is up by Chung, but it was intercepted by a host of Villanova players. Now 3 seconds on the penalty kill, and that shot is up almost in, but no. Stout defensively, a brick wall for the Wildcats, Jason.
Give Fidecaro a lot of credit for just being so physical, down low, and just being a really good player for them.
14.5 to play here in this second period. 11 shots on goal for George Mason, just 9 for Villanova, but they lead it 1-0. You just tuned in. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova coming in with a record of 3-0. George Mason with a record of 0-2. Both these teams ECHA rivals. It's the Eastern Collegiate Hockey Association. Far side cleared out by the Patriots. They've been the more aggressive team through the first 6 minutes of this second period, but again, it's just been smart play by Villanova, not letting it turn into anything uglier than it could be. A lot of that has to do with the goaltending of Dmitry Kapranov, who has been great here tonight as advertised. Just no angle to try to get that wrister in. Puck is loose, but corralled by Villanova for a second. And they try to corral it here again and maybe set something up on the offensive side. Slap shot's up, it's altered. There was no momentum there on the shot by Daniel Tom, so he couldn't put it in. It was bobbled for a second by him, but now trying to set something up behind the net. Now 12 shots on goal for the Patriots. They haven't been able to put anything on the board, though.
Thomas Lynch has did a really good job during that defensive possession, just staying behind the red line and staying on his man from one side of the net to another.
High shot is up, not handled by Kapranov as it went over the net. So again, we see the Patriots aggressive, but just not able to put anything on the board just yet. Fight for the puck, it's popped up into the air. Fielded back there by Stevens, who goes jamming into the net, puck loose. 4 players trying to get it out, and it's out here near side. 12.5 to play here in this second period. 1-0 Villanova. I think that was a pass behind the net instead of a shot. Now popped up into the air again. Villanova looks to try to just clear it out, but they're unable to. Top of the line, it sets up a slap shot that's wide. Boy, we have seen a couple of opportunities here by George Mason to try to tie the score that they've been unable to do so just yet.
But give the Villanova defense credit because they're making it really difficult for them to even just get wide open shots. And when they do get open shots, they just haven't been able to attack. And they're out of sync.
Yeah, and we have seen that, a lot so far here in this period. And, it felt like early in the first period, Jason, Villanova wasn't quite on the attack. It felt like they were playing a little bit more defensive as well in that game, or in that period rather. But as that period developed, then they got on the aggressive side, and the Esposito goal, obviously the difference in this game, and then they actually had a power play that they could have taken advantage of, but George Mason was able to stay stout on the defensive side to try to, just not let Villanova pad onto the lead. Still just 1-0. Shot is up. Nice block by Huberger. He's been good. Now both teams in double digits on shots on goals. That was the 10th for the Wildcats. Puck loose, now back here onto the left side. Body's flying. The puck's still loose. Now far side, handled by the Wildcats. Liam Tomczak, full head of steam, far side, looking to maybe set up a cutter, but nothing developed. No lane to try to get that pass across. It's intended for Naraki. He's been quiet in this game, 2 goals and 3 assists. Sophomore out of Darien, Connecticut, led the team with 5 points coming into play here tonight. Still a lot of game left here. Shot is up, but it is stopped. The 11th shot on goal for Villanova, but again, George Mason stays stout at the 11-18 mark here in this second period. 1-0 Wildcats. And Jason, we've seen now the last 9 minutes of this game, ever since the start of that second period, it has been back and forth. Both teams are getting more physical, it appears, but still just that 1 goal on the board. And, as far as we're concerned, it's almost like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop and for there to be, a flurry of goals on whichever side, but both defenses have been strong.
Yeah, it seems like with the way that things have been going now, who's winning in the neutral zone, and so far in this period it's been the Patriots. It has been, and they've also been the more aggressive team with shots on goals, and now a full head of steam right up ahead. Kapranov was out of it, the shot is up and good! We're tied at 1. The Patriots, who are aggressive in this period, and Dmitry Kapranov, who had only given up a goal before that one right there. The Patriots tie our score at 1. Sometimes the puck just you have to get a really good bounce from the puck, and unfortunately for Villanova, that thing just went all the way down the ice, and there was going to be a really, really hard chance for them to make a stop there.
Now 1-1 at the 10:47 mark. So you're hoping that this doesn't shift momentum onto the Patriots side if you're the Wildcats. That slap shot up and handled by Huberger at about mid-ice. Right on cue, right before that goal, Jason, you said they've appeared to be the more aggressive team in terms of attacking and getting shots on the board. And, we talk about Kapranov's positioning, and he didn't have great positioning there. He tried to almost dive to get control of that. Now Villanova looking to clear everything out. Slap shot set up here by Lynch. He's unable to put it through. It was wide. 10-12 mark time stoppage here. 13 shots on goal for George Mason. 12 shots on goal for Villanova. And you got to figure this is a much bigger game, obviously, for George Mason with the 0-2 start and the Villanova Wildcats starting out at 3-0. But Jason, you got to figure this is a team and a game that Villanova, with their hot start, you got to figure first home game here at Hatfield Ice Arena. You really want to take advantage of this George Mason team that's been sulking here to start.
Another guy that stepped up for them has been George Egernov. You know, you look at the last defensive possession, look at how physical he was, just pushing and shoving, and again, just being a menace out there on defense.
Huberger was behind his net for a second, but now here's the pace has slowed down just a bit. George Mason looks to try to set something up. Lance Jusanis was unable to find it. Now the puck will go into the right side of the attacking side for Villanova, as they're looking to reclaim the lead. They were up 1-0 and then just lost it. Davis puts it up and puts it in! Charlie Davis! 2-1 Wildcats.
Punch, counter punch. That's how you do it. That's how you respond.
Exactly how you respond. And the freshman Davis out of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, 3 goals against William Patterson. He has a goal here tonight. And, right on cue, really quick, right after George Mason was able to answer, we thought, hey, if you're Villanova, you can't let them recapture the momentum. And just an unbelievable job by Davis not letting that happen. So now a 2-1 Villanova lead here at the 9:15 mark in this second period. Chance for more here in the attacking zone past the blue line. And it's handled and fielded out nicely by George Mason to try to set something up on their own side. Shot is up, it's high, no good. There's been a host of Mason players looking to set something up. As now far side, it's corralled by Drew Sakonis, but intercepted by a Wildcat player, Michael Vogel, who got hit at mid-ice. We've seen both teams get physical here in this second period. We saw it a little bit in the first, but both teams have really upped the intensity here, and that could be big, for whichever team wins this game. He had the cutter in Esposito, but the pass just a bit errant.
Just a little bit too much mustard on that one.
8:29 mark here in this second period. Villanova with a 2-1 lead here at Hatfield Ice Arena. If you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova came in with a record of 3-0 and 16 goals scored in their first 3 contests. They'd only given up 3. They've still only given up 4. Slap shots up from Tomczak. He's unable to put it through. We haven't seen the slap shot be much of a factor here. It's very tough to really get that going, especially when you're right by that blue line, because a lot of bodies in the way. But it can be so deadly if you're able to really put one up on the board.
But plus you have to angle yourself, and that's what's really, really tough about it, is that you got to get it at the right angle, and you have to put the right amount of exit velocity on it.
Under 8 to play here in this second period. 14 shots on goal for Villanova. They've now taken the lead in that department over George Mason, who's at 13. As we've been mentioning, even in that first period, it was the Patriots of George Mason who were the more aggressive team. Michael Miranda with it now here far side. He slips and falls, puck loose. And it's poked out by Villanova, but now it sets up a full head of steam here. Shot is up, it's altered by Kapranov. Boy, that could have been deadly if that went in. Great positioning again by Dimitri. 14 shots on goal for George Mason. Now up far side, maybe setting up a cutter. Shot is up, nice block by Huberger. Puck is loose now, handled by Lucas Huberger. So Villanova had an opportunity to extend the lead to 2, Jason, but again, we've seen it a couple of times in little pockets of this game where it feels like those pockets are where Villanova has gotten the edge over George Mason, but the wholesale defensive effort for the Patriots has been pretty stellar so far here in this game.
How about 8 shots on goal over the last 5 minutes? And again, that's just Coach Bobko just trying to tell his team that they have to go out and make a statement.
Kabelski tried to set something up, but the pass was errant. Tyler Cooper couldn't poke it out. So now into the stick of a Patriot player looking to set something up on their own end. They've had 8 shots on goal in the first period, 6 shots on goal here in the second. Shot is up and altered as Tyler Rothman tried to put one in but could not. It hit a Villanova player before it could get to Kapranov.
And again, Thomas Lynch just playing one-on-one and just staying right with his man, making it really difficult for him to get some daylight.
And that's really the biggest thing. And Jason, you talked about it, the angles, the angle of approach where, if you're coming in and you have a full head of steam and then someone is able to, whether it's intercept you with their stick or intercept you just with their body, it makes it tougher to try to put one in the net. Now one-on-one, but a nice defensive play by George Mason just trying to dig it out. And setting up Plyler here near side as the line change comes in for George Mason. Here on the near sideline, dug out by Villanova and cleared out by the Wildcats for a second. Popped up into the air, puck now loose. George Mason looking for some answer here, down 2-1 at the 6:16 mark here in this second period. It's been back and forth between these two teams. Villanova has had their worst scoring output, at least pace-wise, in this game, but they still have been very aggressive and they lead it 2-1. Now under 6 to play. They've been aggressive here in this period with the shots on goals and obviously the goal by Charlie Davis. As icing will stop the clock at the 5:52 mark. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. And, Jason, Grayson Esposito with the goal back in the first. And then George Mason was able to answer with one of their own. But Charlie Davis put it in. And, this is what you want to see from this Villanova team where, not every game you can blow out teams. So, what do you do in a situation like this where this game is tight and also a very good defensive game at that?
Well, you just got to keep your foot on the gas pedal, and you really just need to get them out of sorts, because that one almost went in.
Jonathan Naraki almost put it in on the assist from Fidacaro. That would have made it 3-1 and given Villanova much-needed insurance. Puck clear here far side. The Wildcats look to handle it and try to set something up to maybe set up another attack here as they shoot it off far side. It's in the direction of Huberger, but not quite near the cylindrical area. Now behind the goaltender. Maybe trying to slow the pace down, but still physical defensive play from George Mason, something we've seen all game long. A little over 5 to play here in the second period. Now 17 shots on goal for Villanova. Team that leads the ECHA in points with 6 and wins with 3. It's another stop by Huberger. He has been big time so far, and now we get some pushing and shoving. The George Mason player hits the deck. He was shoved by Grayson Esposito. So we'll see what happens here. We've seen very physical play on both sides from both players as Esposito shoved him to the ground.
But that's what you call making a statement. That's what you want from your team leaders. And those are types of things where you really can see growth in a lot of players, and that's something that is a really good attribute.
4:40 mark here in this second period, 2-1 Villanova. Villanova looking to clear it out, jammed into the glass. Time stoppage here at the 4:33 mark. We'll see what the call is here. We've seen the whistles blown and maybe pace stop here a little bit lately, but this has been a game that has been pretty fast-paced. Both teams want to play fast-paced, and not a lot of goals, just 2-1. So it's going to be interesting to see which team is going to get that momentum here with 4.5 to play in the second period, and also taking it into the third period as well.
Something that you and I haven't really talked about is that they're doing a really good job on the face-offs, and they're also getting the rebounds now. Before, to start off the second period, they weren't getting those rebounds, and now they're getting friendly tips along with it.
Slap shot altered, a lot of bodies there. Now 1:46 on the power play for George Mason, so Villanova 4 skaters on the ice after that physical play. Let's see if George Mason's able to take advantage of this. Full head of steam poked out by Villanova. As it's fielded by the Patriots with now under 4 to play here in the second period. And the line will change, looking to maybe slow things down, but you got to figure, with the penalty kill, you want to maybe speed things up and try to take advantage of Villanova, who's down a man.
That's the third time today that I've seen Balzarati sort of play spoiler, where he just gets in the middle of the defense.
Slap shot here near side was almost put in. They were trying to set up a cutter, but could not get anything brewing. So the clock stops at 3:39, the 15th shot on goal for George Mason. Proves to not be fruitful, as still 1:07 to play on the power play, though, so we'll see if the Patriots are able to put one on the board and tie our score at 2.
Positioning has also been a very big key factor. I noticed that this George Mason team, when they're on the attack, they're not really going in the slots as well, and I think that is a credit to this Villanova defense, just being anchored down.
Yeah, and they have been, and we've really seen both defenses. They're able to really get bodies on skaters, and really whenever there seems to be a fast break opportunity, Jason, it feels like neither team has been able to really take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
Trying to set something up here and maybe get Kapronov out of position was Dylan Hewlin. He was unable to do so just there. The puck will go out onto the other side now, under 3 minutes to play here in the second period. 2-1 Villanova. You just tuned in, Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Just a clear out there from the Wildcats. Just trying to kill this penalty kill with about 5 seconds left. And that's something that's been big too. Neither team has really gotten into penalty kills a lot, and now it disappears. So Villanova will get another skater back out on the ice and get it back to a 5-on-5. Puck goes far side. I believe that's an icing call. 2:23 mark here in this second period. Grayson Esposito with the goal in the first period for Villanova, and then the freshman Charlie Davis put one in here in the second. So 2 freshmen getting in on the action, and that is obviously going to be the story of this game if the Wildcats are able to hang on, and rightfully so, Jason. But we have to really give kudos to Kapronov in the goal, as well as the defenseman here for Villanova.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. Just the amount of ground that he's been able to cover all over that side of the rink towards the net. It's, again, like, you see special talents out there, and they just draw your eyes, and you're glued to them. And I think that's just what he does. He's just an unbelievable talent.
18 shots on goal for Villanova, 17 for George Mason here in this game. 2:10 to play here in the second period. Both teams have scored a goal here in the period. The Wildcats lead it 2-1. Maybe looking to just skate things out and maybe try to get something brewing here, and maybe they do have something. Shot is up, no good by Peretti. Boy, that could have been deadly. So he had a full head of steam, but again, a man able to get a body in front of a skater and alter that. So 1:56 here in this second period.
Peretti tried to put the stick on the puck there with the little zigzag moves, but even with just that last move, he wasn't able to beat his defender. And when you're doing it up against 2 guys, it's not so easy when there's a wall out in front of you.
Now 1:52 to play here in this second period. Villanova looking to try to set something up here. Carrying it out was Lynch, but nobody cut over to try to take care of the puck. Now it's handled by George Mason, as they're looking to maybe stay on the attack. Pucked up there on the far side, cleared out by Kapronov. Now skirmish for it, far side in that back right corner, the back left corner rather. 1:25 to play here in the second period. Puck loose, now into the stick of Villanova, 2-on-2. The 2-on-1 became a 2-on-2 as George Mason was able to get back defensively. Now 1:12 to play here in this period. Villanova looking to try to put one on the board close to Huberger, but he was able to clear it out. 20 shots on goal for Villanova, just 2 goals. Cutter almost set one up for Janetti. Skabelski had him, but the pass just altered at the last second by a George Mason player. So we'll see if Villanova can set something up here near side. Down into that bottom right corner. 44 seconds to play. Villanova looking to tack on some insurance. And they might get something here. Racing in and almost putting it in was Oestreicher. But another stout stop. Check that Naraki almost put one up and in. 21 shots on goal, 36 seconds to play here in this second period. Jonathan Naraki bidding for his first goal of the game. 34 seconds left to play here in this second period. George Mason maybe has a last run in them. If they can get numbers, 2-on-2 now brewing. But a host of Villanova defenders are back there. 23 seconds to play here in this second period. Pavelski up here on the near side. And now it'll be handled on that near side down at the top right corner. 9 seconds to go. 21 shots on goal for Villanova, 2 goals. They have a 2-1 lead, sets up a slap shot from Tomczak. He's not able to put it in, and that will take us to the end of period number 2. Villanova with a 2-1 lead over the George Mason Patriots. Another goal on the board for the Wildcats. It was the freshman Charlie Davis, who now has his 3rd goal on the season. And, you know, we'll see now with a 1-goal lead, Jason, if you're just tuned in. Tom Hill and Jason Joseph here on this call. Now we'll see if the Wildcats are able to really take that momentum forward and you know, use it and maybe add on to this lead, because we have seen a very aggressive George Mason team to start out the first 2 periods. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what happens in period number 3.
13 shots on goal in those last 10 minutes. That was really huge because nothing was going their way to start off that second period, and you can see that the Patriots were on the attack, but the response after the goal from the Patriots was absolutely awesome.
Two-1 Villanova, the score here after 2 periods. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. And, you know, Jason, we have seen a back-and-forth team between these 2 squads, and it feels like when Villanova is on the attack, that's where they get their goals. And George Mason started both the first and second periods really as the more aggressive team, and that's something that could be interesting here as they're only down 1 as we take shape. 3rd period about 13 minutes away from getting underway, but you know, we've seen a very aggressive Villanova team, not just offensively but defensively as well. And Dmitry Kapranov has been phenomenal in the goal, and he's really been phenomenal last year to start this year, so that's no surprise. But if you're Villanova, you're up by 1, but you're looking to extend this lead, and you know, with 20 minutes left to play, you got to figure they're looking to get their 4th win of the year and add more points onto their ECHA lead.
The goal is to try to give Kapranov a little bit more wiggle room and a little bit more space out there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you made a baseball analogy before, like when it comes to the pitching, but you want to try to give him a very comfortable lead. And I think that in the second part of that second period, they looked like that they were more in sync, and just to start off, you know, they came out a little bit rusty, but you figured that things were sort of going to go back to their side. And in the 3rd period, I know that we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but what they need to just do is just continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal. I loved how at the very end of that second period, they were winning out in transition. They were doing such a good job just from going from defense to offense. There was always 1 or maybe 2 skaters that were out there on the other side already for the fast break.
Yeah, and that can be big too. And that's something we've seen where it feels like when you have a great goaltender, it allows you to be more aggressive, because then you realize as a team you don't need to get it all on the attacking side, on the offensive side. And you know, just a credit also to these Villanova defensemen, really both defensemen for both teams. We have been treated to a pitcher's duel, if you will, stealing another phrase from another sport. But, you know, it is the truth where, you know, this was a Villanova team that came into play here tonight with 16 goals over the course of their first 3 games. That's a lot. And that's a lot, and it's really great when you're not giving up goals. And Kapranov has not given up a lot of goals, just 2 this season, including tonight. So they haven't scored at the zenith that we've seen this season throughout their first 3 contests, but it has still been just enough to have this lead after 2 periods and just enough for Villanova to potentially salt this one away with 20 minutes left.
2 of the guys that seem very active over on the blue line, Thomas Lynch and Michael Vogel. It seems like that they're getting their hands stuck into the cookie jar, but they're also just disrupting plays. And if they can just continue to do that in the 3rd period, there's no reason why they shouldn't come out on top.
Yeah, there's no reason why, and there's no reason why, especially given the success that they've had so far throughout this first little bit here in the 24-25 campaign, where they have scored 16, now 18 goals if you count this game in their first almost 4 games complete through the 24-25 season. And you know, their last game against Rochester Institute, it was 6 goals, 6 different players. Tonight it's 2 goals, 2 different players. Grayson Esposito had the goal in that first period. Charlie Davis had the most recent goal after the answer by George Mason. We were tied at 1 for a little bit, but that didn't last as Villanova was able to reclaim the lead. And, you know, if they play like this, Jason, you got to figure that they can really wreak havoc in the ECHA and, more importantly, even progress throughout the playoffs past that. But, you know, still a long season to go and still a lot of hockey games left to be played. But, you know, if you're Villanova, you have to really be proud of what you've seen so far from this team. And up 2-1 here, about 9:20 to go before the 3rd period gets set, and they've just looked really good.
Absolutely. And Liam Tomczak, you know, he's been putting the shot on the net, but he hasn't been able to find his groove or find his rhythm. But sometimes that's okay, because guess what? What makes this team so special is that they have other guys that can step up. And when you have other guys that can fill in and take on more responsibilities, you're not always going to have to need one person like Tomczak to be relied on offense. Again, there's other people that you can rely on too. And I like that a lot about this game, and that's sort of been my biggest takeaway so far.
Yeah, and I would agree on that end as well. You know, this is something that, you know, if you're Villanova, you know, you gotta figure, hey, you have the lead, it is 2-1, but one of the causes for concerns if you're the Wildcats, you know, maybe more of a left the back door open type of concern would be the fact that George Mason has started these periods, both periods, very aggressively. They've been very strong. They've been the better team in terms of attacking and at least getting, you know, down on the other side of the ice and trying to at least put pressure on Kapranov. Now, he has been good individually, and the defense for Villanova has been good, you know, putting their sticks in the fray and not letting George Mason try to really take advantage of them offensively. But that could be something that could be a minor cause for concern here in this 3rd period, where, you know, it does feel like you have this lead, but it's only 1, and you have been the more aggressive team. But, you know, this George Mason team, they've been struggling a bit here to start this 24-25 campaign, Jason, but they are not this poor of a team. You know, we have seen them in years past, you know, last season where they made the ECHA playoffs, and this is a very good team. This is a very good team with a lot of really good players, and Miranda and Price. You know, Miranda had their couple of goals before this game, only 2 goals as a team, but you got to figure that, you know, this is a team that could get going, and you don't want to let that happen, and you don't want to spoil your home opener here at Hatfield Ice.
And Huberger overall has done a really good job in their net too. You know, he's been making some really, really good plays, and especially early on in that 2nd period, you could tell that Villanova was a little bit out of sorts just because of what he was able to do with his versatility and just with the hand-eye coordination. But in regards to what they're going to have to do here in this third period, they just got to continue to they just have to get momentum on their side, but they're also really going to need some help offensively, and I'd like to see them try to break this game a little bit more open.
And we have seen a few instances where Villanova was able to maybe do that with some power plays earlier in the game, but again, George Mason staying stout defensively, and that's why you do it, because you don't let these games get away from you. And that's why the Patriots are in striking distance, just down one, and they've also been on the attack. 21 shots on goal for Villanova, 17 shots on goal for George Mason. But in that first period, it was George Mason who outshot them 8-6. But a more aggressive second period for both teams, Jason. And this could be something that we see maybe brew in the third period.
I also noticed, and I don't think we really talked about this, but Coach Bobko has done a really good job with his line changes, and also I think that he's also made his imprint on this game so far as well. When things aren't going so well and momentum isn't on their side, he knows when to push the right buttons. And I have to give him credit too, because I think that another reason why that they're doing a really good job in this game is because he's just been doing a really good job just making decisions.
With Jason Joseph, I am Tom Hill. Villanova with a 2-1 lead over the George Mason Patriots. ECHA battle here at Hatfield Ice in Colmar, Pennsylvania. We will be right back for third period action.
How was that?
I thought that sounded well. Are we muted? Back to the action here at Hatfield Ice Arena. Villanova Wildcats with a 2-1 lead as we take shape. Third period just about ready to get underway. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. And Jason, it has been a game, determined by a lot of different factors. We've seen both teams attack. We've seen both teams really try to stay on the attack and be aggressive, but still only 2 goals on the board for Villanova and 1 goal on the board for George Mason. Villanova came in with a record of 3-0. George Mason with a record of 0-2 as we take shape here in period number 3. Villanova now moves right to left on the timeline. George Mason moving left to right. 21 shots on goal for Villanova, 17 for the visitors in the George Mason Patriots. There's been a far cry from the first 3 games in terms of shots on goals for the Wildcats. 43 in game 1, 6-1 win against William Patterson. 49 in game 2 and 52 in game 3 as George Mason puts, we're tied at 2, just 27 seconds in.
And, Michael Miranda, 3rd goal on the season. You said that it was going to be really important to keep him off the stat sheet. Fortunately we weren't able to do so.
Kapranov, who had given up 1 goal prior to today, has given up 2 here in not even 3 periods of play. He's still been very good, but you had to figure with both Price and Miranda for this George Mason team, one of them was going to get going, and Miranda now adds his 3rd goal on the year, and boy, it took 27 seconds to change the complexion of this game potentially. 2-2 now as we're tied. Villanova looks to try to skate it up the other side. Full head of steam for Davis. He can't put it in. Lucas Huberger has been very good in the net for George Mason. He's just given up 2 goals as well. Now full head of steam for the Patriots far side. Collision on that far side. Sends the puck out loose now by Kapranov. A minute gone here in this 3rd period. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. See if Villanova could get something brewing here. Pass is intercepted by a Patriot player and now taken up along the near sideline. Waiting for one team to really now get going here in a tie game. Now a full head of steam here for Davian Peretti. Let's see if he can turn it into something, and he cannot. Puck loose, handled by the Patriots. And intercepted off the foot of Peretti and ricocheting around that far sideline. Popped up into the air and now going to go behind Huberger, the goaltender. Bodies collide. Patriots looking to set something up. 18-20 mark here in this 3rd period. Immediately a goal right out of the break by Michael Miranda for the Patriots. His 3rd goal on the year, his 1st here in this game, to make it 2-2 and square us away, Jason.
Yeah, we talked about before how he's been, not only has he been like not only has he been really good at just scoring for them, but he's been just really active on every single play, pretty much.
Yeah, indeed he has been, as puck will go into the backside as bodies collided, fielded out by Vogel. Villanova looking to try to set something up here. 22 shots on goal. The majority of that came in that 2nd period. A much more aggressive 2nd period than the 1st was. Grayson Esposito and Charlie Davis, the scorers here tonight for the Wildcats. Lines change, and now the 17:27 mark, a clock stoppage here. We'll see what's happening right now. 2-2 game. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Villanova came in with a record of 3-0. George Mason, a record of 0-2.
And the crazy thing too is that they were outscored the Patriots 11-2 in their first 2 games, and they put up 2 goals today, 1 in the 2nd and 1 in the 3rd.
Patriots looking to get something brewing here as they've been on the attack. Something we detailed in that 2nd period intermission, where it feels like right out of the break they're the more aggressive team, and that could now bode well, and almost kind of would feel like you could steal one here on the road. There's still 16:55 to be played here in this 3rd period as Huberger puts the glove on it and puts the stop on it. Another shot up for Villanova, but to no avail. Substitutions will come in. Miranda with his 3rd goal of the year. This is a player who had 11 goals last season, 19 assists as well. He had 15 goals in his first 2 years for George Mason. Now full head of steam, moving left to right. Nick Ransom had it, but lost it. Another opportunity there for George Mason to put one on the board. But again, Jason, something that you have said pretty much all broadcast long, where it feels like Villanova has been stout, defensively, putting a man back there and kind of like creating that blockade, if you will, barricade, to try to prevent any opportunity for a clean shot.
It's been the zone. They just have really been struggling with the zone early on when they go into the next periods.
Miranda had an opportunity to slap one in, but could not. It was a host of Villanova players back there to prevent that. Something we've seen a lot from both teams in this game. 16 and a half to play here in this 3rd period. 3.5 gone. 2-2 game. Villanova out shooting George Mason by 5, 23-18. Fight for it far side. Almost set up a slap shot there on that far side. Now a slap shot is up no good from Ewan. Puck will be out onto the far side now in grasp of Villanova. And now back and forth. One team looking to try to find the edge here to take over and maybe stay on the attack. It was Villanova a lot in their first 3 games. 16 goals through their first 3, just 2 here tonight. Well below their average. 15:42 mark here. It's cleared out by Rothman, who had it for a second. But Villanova able to get the sticks in, active sticks, Jason, something we've seen a lot in this game.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And hopefully we can try to see a little bit more of good taking care of the puck as we head down to the wire with the 3rd period.
15:22 mark, no angle there from Villanova to try to put one in on the near side. Maybe try to find a cutter to develop. Now the puck loose, fight for it, and a great box out by George Mason, just trying to clear that out. Great box out by Rothman, and sets up a potential shot up, and Kapernoff out of his goal, and it's up and through! The Patriots take the lead! George Goodwin puts it in! 2 straight here in the 3rd period. They lead it 3-2.
And that was all started by Tyler Rutherman, just on the defensive side, able to just body his way over across the other side, but muscle through. And, they don't get that goal if it weren't for him, so you sort of have to give him the apple there.
Yeah, and this is what we've seen. Something that we did mention right after that 2nd period, Jason, where, hey, just a minor concern for Villanova was the fact that George Mason started these periods aggressively in 3 straight. George Urganoff with the assist as well. So 5 minutes gone and 2 goals in on this period for the Patriots, who have looked like the more physical team, still being outshot in the game 24-20, but it has just been high flying, and another chance here, but down 2 on 3. And it's fielded out nicely by Villanova, looking to try to set something up on their own end. The 14:40 mark here in this 3rd period. Villanova led it 2-1. Now icing violation called. This is the first time in this game that Villanova has relinquished the lead. And 14:34 to play. If you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. It's going to set up a face-off here on the right side of the ice. So another opportunity for George Mason to put another goal up on the board. It would be their 3rd of the quarter. Villanova looking to try to tie this score, and starts by regathering the momentum. Now here near sideline, 14:20 mark in this game. A fight far side. Carfey tries to win it. He cannot. It was handled nicely by a Patriot, and another stop by Kapranoff as he had to take care of that one before something got ugly. And Jason, you really don't want to let this game get away from you. It just feels like one more goal for the Patriots could probably write an end to Villanova, even though they have been a very stout team to start here.
You know that the Patriots went 21-6-2 last year, and they ended up losing to William Patterson 5-4 in the playoffs, but they haven't gotten off to a good start, you know, in the first couple of games, and they seem to have found a rhythm here. However, Villanova just needs to just do a better job at just cleaning up some things on the ice.
It was that defense, that vaunted defense in the first two periods, but it's just been a different state of affairs here in this third period, and George Mason has just been the more aggressive team here. Clock stoppage at the 13:46 mark. It was right out of the break immediately. It was 27 seconds in. Goal was put up by George Mason and Michael Miranda to tie us at 2. And then that phenomenal defensive play by Rothman, which set up the George Goodwin goal. Now a 3-2 score. George Mason comes back out on the other side looking for a cutter. Pass is deflected by Villanova, but now it sets up a potential slap shot, which is up and no good. It's wide by Lynch. Puck loose right behind the net of Kapranov, who has really struggled here lately, despite starting this game and starting this season really stout. Puck flying around now into the grasp of a George Mason player who's just going to clear it out. Maybe just set up a line change here. 13:03 to play. George Mason with a 3-2 lead. They've scored 2 unanswered here in this third period. And it's been something that, you know, if you're Villanova, you really want to scratch and claw and get back into this game, especially with, you know, the fact that you've had the advantage shooting on goal 24-21 still, which sets up Davis, full head of steam. His shot is up. It's off the bar. No good. Boy, that would have tied us at 3. Davis bidding for his second goal of the night. George Mason catches a break. Villanova looking to reclaim the puck to try to set something up and maybe get another opportunity just like that. That was a golden opportunity.
That was a nice pass by Fidecaro, too, behind the back. Shovel. Ooh.
And those are pretty to watch. No angle yet for Villanova and Davis to try to put one on the board, or at least try to set up a pass potentially. So now that opportunity appears to be gone by the wayside for Villanova. So we'll see if George Mason now with a 1-goal lead can set something up to tack on insurance. Been back and forth between these two teams. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Here at Hatfield Ice Arena, home of the Villanova Wildcats, Division I hockey team that compete with the George Mason Patriots here tonight. Both teams members of the ECHA, the Eastern College Hockey Association. Hook shot no good. That shot no good as well. Alexei Karpov tried to put it in. He could not, but it's handled nicely. A good break by George Mason.
It was Esposito that was able to make a really good disruption there and take away a shot from George Mason.
Now a fight here far side as Villanova looking to just try to clear it out. But physical play by Karpov, who was falling, hitting the deck. And now the puck loose. Chung will just clear it out, and George Mason will look to set things up. They have been a way more aggressive team here in this third period, to say the least. Under 11 minutes to play, nearing the halfway point here in this third period. Not a lot of game time left for Villanova to try to scratch and claw and get into it. We have seen this team rally before. A 3-0 record, 144 shots on goal the first 3 games for Villanova. They have 25 here tonight, which is starkly contrasted from their first 3 games. And now we have a helmet loose. 10:35 mark, clock stops. George Mason with a 3-2 lead. If you're just tuned in, Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call.
Dylan Sean definitely took one right behind the net. And again, this is what happens when pesky players are able to come through and help your hockey team. You know, he's been one of those disruptors tonight, and this Villanova team has to try to find a way to solve it.
Another line, Goodwin, Sakonis, Miranda, Igornoff, and Price are in for George Mason. Goodwin and Miranda have the goals here in this period for the Patriots. We're down 1-0 after 1, 2-1 after 2, Jason, but now they lead it here 3-2, and a 2-minute penalty kill from Villanova, so they're down a man. A chance for the Patriots to put another one on the board. Face-off here near side. And the face-offs have been won a lot by Villanova. That slap shot is up, no good. Goodwin tried to bid for his second goal on the quarter. And now that pass is errant, intended for Sakunis. He has to go back and track it. And this could set something up for Villanova. They've been really good on the penalty kill. Both teams have really had opportunities to strike while the iron's hot, but neither defense has really let them get going. It's a nice physical play by Balzarati, just trying to alter that as the puck goes wide. 24 shots on goal now for George Mason, who has really picked up the pace here in this period. Slap shot was missed, just a whiff there on that front ice, middle ice by Sakonis. Sets up the slap shot left side. That one's blocked by Kopranoff, and the puck will just go out onto the other side.
You see Reagan and Miranda going at it against each other, bodying each other, being a little bit physical. And Reagan has been really disrupted by him throughout this entire game for the most part, every time he's matched up on him.
Under a minute to play on the power play are the Patriots. 9:18 on the game clock. They're up 3-2 and a chance for more. Trying to get something to develop and maybe just try to find a lane here. They've tried to set up the slap shot kind of right by that blue line. Nothing has really developed, and they've just had to track it. Now 30 seconds left on the penalty kill. So it looks like Villanova, barring a late burst here, will survive this penalty kill. But here comes George Mason. Might have spoke too soon. Bodies colliding. Shot is up. No good. It was Chandler Lynch who tried to put it up and in, but could not. Now corralled here near side. Both teams squared away at 25 shots on goal, but it has been the visitors, the George Mason Patriots, who have been a lot more aggressive here. As that shot is up from Ali, but it was blocked and deflected up into the air by Naraki. Villanova looking to just get something going here, down by 1, 8.5 to play here in this period. Period mostly dominated by the men in green. 8:20 mark if you're just tuned in. Tom Hill, Jason Joseph here on the call. Hatfield Ice Arena, Villanova Wildcats taking on the George Mason Patriots. Back and forth here in this third period, and it's been a lot of back and forth in this game, Jason.
Yeah, it's been sort of like a seesaw. Just both teams trying to make their counter punches and make their adjustments. A game of chess, really, if you will.
Yeah, it has been a game of chess, and the chess match has been outwitted now. Villanova has been outwitted, if you will, by George Mason because it's just the aggression, and when you can continue to stay aggressive and get the goaltender and Kapranov into maybe positions where he's not conducive to preventing a goal from being in, as Villanova looked to put one up on the slap shot far side top right, but unable to do just that. So 7:58 mark here, but another face-off coming down on that left side. We've seen Villanova try to get something brewing here, but just unable to do just that. And that one's up and that one's through. We're tied at 3. Villanova has the answer. Back and forth.
Balzarati with a nice goal there. And you figured at some point that he was going to come through. And he had a chance. He had an opening there. The one thing I liked about that shot is that he didn't really have a lot of time to shoot it, but he was sort of cutting into the lane, and he backhanded it. Nice.
Those are very nice to see. And Balzarati, the senior out of Basking Ridge, New Jersey, now 3 straight games with a goal. He had 2 straight, dating back to the previous 2 against Rochester Institute. So now a chance for Villanova to tack on, tied at 3, 7.5 to play here in this game. And time stoppage at the 7:32 mark. Right from the play, some contact, but nothing brewing just yet. So we've seen 3 different Wildcat players with goals here tonight. Esposito in the first period, Davis in the second, and now Balzarati here in the third. Face off here right at mid-ice, won by Villanova. Full head of steam, feet of Carl. Moving right to left. Shot is up. It's altered. It hits the stick of a Patriot player. 7.5 to play here in this game. 27 shots on goal for the Wildcats. 25 for George Mason. George Mason outscoring Villanova 2-1 here in this third period. But a chance for the Wildcats to take the lead. Huberger lets it hit him and just clears it out, looking to set something up for the Wildcats on that far side. And it's intercepted by a Wildcat player. Nobody tried to poke it out. Nobody could poke it out. Now a full head of steam almost had an angle to put that one in. Now another clear out. Fight for it with Giannetti. He loses the fight. But another shot right behind the net, and now it sets up a slap shot, which goes ricocheting, careening off of Stevens. And now we have a fight right near the goaltender, some tripping between these two teams. It's gotten pretty physical, Jason, to say the least here in this game.
This is part of their brand of ice hockey that you just really like to see. The scrappiness, the tenacity, right? Just the physical play that they could provide. And again, they started off this period a little bit cold from that angle, but they have found their groove now. The question is, can they take over within the last 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, we'll see how that fares. Now, George Mason goes up the other side. Trying to set up something was Miranda, who has a goal in this period already. But again, putting a body in front of him, trying to alter something, and they do. Villanova has been stout, Jason, in that so far in this game. Little over 7 to play here in this ballgame, tied at 3. Villanova relinquished the lead. They led 2-1 coming into play here in this third period. 2 straight goals by Miranda and Goodwin gave the Patriots a 3-2 lead, but senior Matt Balzerati was able to tie us at 3. Now under 7 to play. Villanova came in with a record of 3-0. George Mason a record of 0-2. Villanova tied with Temple with 6 points first in the ECHA conference and a squeaky clean 3-0 record. But hanging in the balance, if you will, back and forth between these two squads. Fight for the puck. Now handled by Villanova, full head of steam up the far sideline. It's popped up into the air. Try to maybe set up a cutter, maybe an angle to where the Wildcats could score that, which maybe sets up a slap shot here at the top. And Vogel tried putting it in, but he could not. So now a little over 6 to play here in this game. Patriots take it up the near side, moving left to right on the timeline.
Interesting how they utilize Vogel as the point.
Yeah. And we've
haven't really seen that a lot. We haven't really seen that too much today, but I like that.
We've seen that a couple of times where it feels like both teams are trying to set up a slap shot to put one in, but it's kind of been those broken plays for both teams that have resulted in all 6 goals combined here tonight.
But sometimes, Tom, that's just what it comes down to.
Because not all the time are you going to get those clean looks, and also you have players who are trying to alter those looks as well. Stopped by Huberger. He didn't come out of the net. Puck loose, falls. And a fight for it, aggressive play by Balzerati, who has the goal in this game, in this period, rather, for Villanova. It set up an angle for Kapelski to maybe put one in, but he could not. It's kind of an awkward angle as that slap shot is up and too far. So over 25 shots on goal. 5-11 mark here in this third period. And you got to figure that, this is something for Villanova to maybe take advantage of. 5-11 mark face-off here far side. Little over 5 minutes to play. Villanova looking to take the lead. 5:04 mark here. They've been outscored 2-1 here in this third period. Team coming into play with 16 goals in their first 3 contests. Now 3 here tonight in a tie matchup against George Mason. 4:50 mark. As Huberger able to pop it up in the air. It's been aggressive play for Villanova these last couple of minutes. 4:42 mark. Puck flying around. Now 4.5 to play. 30 shots on goal for Villanova. Just 3 goals, though, that they've been able to stay in it. As Jack Fidecaro hit the deck, but it sets up a potential opportunity for Naraki to try to score as the George Mason player was down. Seen this aggressive play for Villanova in this period as it's picked up. Feels like as the periods progress, Villanova kind of recaptures the momentum and recaptures the aggressive play that you need to try to get going in this game. Full head of steam, Esposito, far sideline. Looking to create something. 2 green jerseys on him. They hound him. He falls, hits the deck. Puck loose, taken the other way. Moving coast to coast are the Patriots. Puck is up in the air, near side. Fight for it. Skirmish down here near side, on the right side. Right by Kapranoff. Now here comes Villanova. Full head of steam. Shot is up. It's blocked by Huberger, and that one's up and through. Villanova takes the lead, 4-3. 2 straight unanswered. The Wildcats are back on top. A phenomenal job by the Wildcats, who gave up those 2 goals early in this period to answer with 2 goals of their own. And this is something that if you're the Wildcats, we knew scoring was no issue for them this season. You know, this is a team that won 3 games prior to this, scored 6, 4, and 6 goals, and now 4 here tonight to take the lead at 4-3. 31 shots on goal as a team, 4 goals as well. I believe there's a conference with it. It's Quinn Alley, the defenseman, wants to talk things over with the referees. And as it stands, that's a Villanova goal, and they take the lead at 4-3. It's been back and forth between these 2 teams, and you know, this is something that you have seen a lot in this game and seen a lot really throughout this entirety of this, you know, early season for the Wildcats. Four to 3 to score. 3:45 left to play here in this game. Now a face-off here at mid-ice, a chance for Villanova to potentially pad on after that most recent goal. And just trying to maybe salt this one away, 3:37 mark. But we have seen George Mason, they've been aggressive here so far in this game. Grayson Esposito put it in. So his second goal of the game. Player hits the deck. Esposito had one in that first period. He has one here in this one. Now 3:12 mark, far side. George Mason looking to set something up. Price will try to clear it out and set a shot up, almost put in by Miranda, and that one is put up and through. Punch, counter punch. We're tied at 4. Back and forth between these 2 squads. Neither team really has the edge here in a wild, high-flying third period, scoring the puck. The 3rd George Mason goal of this period, and right after Esposito put it in for Villanova, the Patriots are able to tie us at 4. Two to 1 was the score coming into play here in this third period. George Mason has scored 3 goals in the third. Villanova has scored 2. It's been a phenomenal game here, to say the least, here at Hatfield Ice Arena, Colmar, Pennsylvania. Nick Ransom put it in for George Mason. So we've seen a few players here, Miranda, Goodwin, and now Ransom for the Patriots, as the net got loose from the cylindrical area. Clock stops at the 2:34 mark. Tom Hill here on the call. Jason Joseph roaming the sidelines. Post-game interview shortly after this one is over. You're just tuned in. 4-4. It's been back and forth. It was 1-0 Villanova after 1. Grayson Esposito put it in. Then it was 2-1 after 2. Charlie Davis had the sole goal in the second period for the Wildcats, but now back and forth, a 4-4 game as that slap shot goes wide of Huber. He tried to put it in up at the top point. Now Mason looks to set something up, but it's set up now here by Villanova. Davis has it intercepted. Great play by Rothman, defensive play. Now his shot is up, it's high. Boy, that was almost a do-it-yourself action by Tyler Rothman, but just couldn't finish it with the shot. So the Wildcats catch a break there, a little over 2 minutes to play here in this game. Tied at 4. Overtime potentially on the horizon if no team can score here with under 2 minutes to play. 32 shots on goal for Villanova, 28 for George Mason. Shot goes wide now, corralled by Villanova for a second, but that sets up Mason to maybe drive down the ice and send one over. I believe the puck is now on the net portion of the net behind Kapranov. So the clock will stop in 1:38, and this will set up a face-off here. And this has really just been a treat to watch, and it's been a back-and-forth game, ECHA rivals, and you had to figure something Jason and I were mentioning all broadcast long. You know, George Mason 21-6-2 as a team a season ago, 0-2 start here in this season, not at all indicative of the type of talent on this team and the type of team that they can be. We've seen that in this game. It has been a tightly knit contest between these two squads. 1:22 to play. Villanova looking to potentially get on the attack and take the lead here with very little time left to play. Full head of steam. Shot is up. It's altered. Trying to put it in. It's Villanova to try to take the lead. It's been really back and forth between these two squads. Oestreicher had an opportunity, had an angle, but it was closed up nicely. That shot is up, no good. Mason almost put it up. Now it's handled on that backside by Rothman. He's been big in this period for George Mason. Now 48 seconds to play. It's corralled by Sakonis. He's back out there on the line change. 42 seconds left to see if the Wildcats can get something brewing here before we head into overtime. 37 seconds to play. It was almost intercepted and now is intercepted by the Patriots, and they can maybe set up a run here as time expires, looking to set up an angle. That shot is up, it's wide. Price almost put it in to give us the lead with under 30 seconds to play. Matthew Price, who's been quiet in this game, he led the team in goals for George Mason, 15 a year ago, and boy, they had a lane there to potentially set something up, but just missed. So still tied at 4, 20.9 on the game clock. 4-4. It's been really a flurry of goals to send. I'm putting that generously here in this third period. 3 for George Mason, 2 for Villanova. And that's why we are tied at 4. Fight behind the net. 2 white jerseys. Villanova looking to just clear this one out. Mason looking to put it in and try to sneak it in. As that one's up and off Kapranov. Now 6 seconds to go. It'll just be cleared out on the far side. 3, 2, 1, and that will do it here in period number 3. George Mason 4, Villanova 4. So we will have overtime here in what has been back and forth between these two squads. And you know, this is something that you have to really look out for, and something that to be cognizant of in this game for both teams. Really, it's which team can really stand the test of this game, which has been very physical and back and forth. And both these teams have scored at high rates in that third period. We saw a lot of goals in that third period. We saw 5 of them. 5 of the 8 goals combined between these two teams came in that third period alone. And that's why we are tied at 4 here. Hatfield Ice Arena. Tom Hill here on the call. Jason Joseph, my color analyst, roaming the sidelines. But another overtime period to decide the winner here tonight. If you're George Mason, you got to figure, hey, you might be able to almost steal one if you can here on the road, especially with the way this one started out. And Villanova, had that early 1-0 lead thanks to Grayson Esposito's second goal of the year. And then George Mason scored a goal in the second period, but then it was quickly answered by Charlie Davis. The freshman put in his 4th goal already in as many games. That made it 2-1, and that was the score heading into play in the third period, where we saw a slew of goals between both teams. And Miranda, Goodwin, and Ransom, 3 different goal scorers for George Mason in that third period. But Villanova also added 2 of their own with Balzarati, and then Grayson Esposito got his second goal on that kind of weird play when Villanova was trailing 4-3, which tied us at 4. So we'll see what happens here as we take shape here in this overtime period. 32 shots on goal for the Wildcats, 29 for the Patriots. So we'll see exactly who has the upper hand here in this overtime period. Just 5 minutes to play here. First home game of the year for the Villanova Wildcats here at Hatfield Ice Arena here in Colmar, Pennsylvania. And it has been a wild game to say the least. So 5 more minutes to decide who wins this one as we are underway. Villanova came in with a record of 3-0. If you're just tuned in, George Mason a record of 0-2. Full head of steam for George Mason going up on their side, looking to put one in against Kapranov, and they do! George Mason puts it in. It takes 16 seconds for them to score the goal. And immediately the Patriots steal one here on the road by a score of 5-4. We've mentioned every single period throughout the entirety of this game early on has been dominated by the men in green, and they trailed 2-1 and 1-0 after 2 different periods in this game. But the visiting George Mason Patriots defeat the Villanova Wildcats and spoil the home opener here by a score of 5-4. And this will be a tough one to swallow as well, for Villanova, who gets their first loss on the year, their first home loss in their home opener, and both teams will shake it out. It just took 16 seconds for the Patriots to race right down and put one up on Kapranov, who, was immaculate in this game and throughout this season, just giving up 1 goal in his first 2 starts in net. But George Mason got to him, and this was a very tight, gritty game. It was hard fought for the Patriots, who pick up their first win on the year. Now 1-2 are George Mason. Villanova falls to 3-1. It'll still be a battle, between these 2 teams in the ECHA conference to, figure out who's going to win it. Still very early in this game, but one of the unsung heroes in this game for George Mason in this win is you got to point to the goaltending of Lucas Huberger, who struggled a bit at points in this season and has struggled, in their first matchup against Oswego State, 41-47. But tonight he was a lot better in this game. 28 of 32. Villanova had 4 goals on the board. It was that flurry.
Yo, what's going on?
I'm
I'm here with Grayson Esposito. Grayson, I wanted to ask you,
Villanova,
how did it feel to score your
Wildcats
first
after
goals?
2, and then
It felt
a
great.
whole
I was
slew of
fortunate
goals
enough to
made
put
it
one in 2 weeks
4-4, and
ago,
the George
and then
Mason
another one just
Patriots
to do anything
come into
for this
Hatfield
team.
Ice Arena.
I know I'm new, but it's a
They
great
steal
group of guys.
this
I really
game
feel like I fit
with
in.
the goal
and it feels great to put
5-4.
one
The
in.
finale just
Put 2 in
16
for them.
seconds.
What's really cool is that you guys have a lot of
overtime.
freshmen.
And now, Tom Hill here on the call.
Okay.
I'm going to send things over to Jason Joseph here out on the sideline.
Oh, what's going on, guys? So I'm here with Grayson Esposito, who got 2 goals today. Grayson, how did it feel to get 2 goals?
It felt great. I'm new to this team, and it's a great group of guys. I really enjoy all of them, and it feels great to put 2 in and help them out for these guys. It was really something special.
What do you like about playing with this core group of people?
I like how I'm brand new, and the chemistry's there. We all get along, and we're just working hard every week. Keep getting better.
Charles had another goal today. What's it like playing with him?
It's great. It's fun. It's cool being 2 freshmen. Like, just fun. Get out there and get to work after the work we put in during the week.
Absolutely. You guys had 32 shots on goal today. What do you think went wrong at the end?
We weren't positioned right. We could have been better in the D zone, and overall I think that's what caused us to lose in the end.
How do you think that Coach Bobko has done, like keeping you guys grounded and making you guys ready for like the big moments?
I think he's done a good job. I mean, he holds us accountable for things, and we just keep working and follow and listen to him, and it'll all pay off in the end.
I have to also ask you, you have an incredible goalie. What's it like having him behind the net?
He's awesome. I mean, it's great knowing that someone back there is there to support you through everything. If we're not on our best, like they got 30 shots today and he only let him 5. It's just great to know that someone's always back there and we can rely on him if we're not playing our best.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course, it was
Appreciate
nice meeting you.